Well, Morena, good morning, everybody. Let's call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody, to today's last meeting of the year for Council. And can I ask Gary to open for us with a wee karakia? Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Ina mana, ina reo, rawa rangatirama, tēnā koutou katoa. I te atua kaharawa, homai kia mātou te kaha. Ki te whai atu i ngā huarahi tika, mo tēnei hui, I tēnei rā, tihei, maraora. To the great creator, give us the strength to follow the correct pathway. For our meeting today, blessing be to life.
Thank you, Gary. Quite apt. Right, so just moving on then. Firstly, just a few opening comments. Look, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge your announcement, Gary. This is our first council meeting formally since you've decided that you will be leaving us. Look, I just have to say that the way that you've served your residents and ratepayers over the last 45 years has just been exemplary. You'll be very large shoes to fill. Indeed, but you can't go yet with another 7 months, and you know that that's going to be probably some of the most tricky months, I guess, I suspect, for in an LTP process. But yeah, I just had to acknowledge that formally. That yeah, with a lot of sadness. There are a few tears. Even Bruce Thomas got a bit flushy in the eyes as I read the resignation retirement letter, didn't you? I have known him a long time. Yeah. Look, so moving on then, look, as I mentioned before, this is our last council meeting for the year, and I just want to thank all elected members and staff for the year. Like it's been a good one. It's been a challenge at times, but we've had lots of great successes and pulled off a few fun openings of parks and what have you. But look, I think we can be proud of the way that we've all conducted ourselves this year, and proud of the things we've done for the benefit of our communities. So with that said, let's move into the agenda. Apologies, I have apologies for lateness from Dale Marie. She will be joining us presently. And is Marcus online? He is? Okay, fabulous. So can I, Andrew will move, Mike will second. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Oh, she just walked in the door. Kia tab 3, disclosure of members' interests. I'm not aware of there being any in particular. No. Late items. Now we do have a late item, which is in your pack, but for obvious reasons needs to be received by way of a resolution, which I believe is here. I've been given the bits and pieces, and it's on the screen at the back there. The recommendation is that Council accepts the CE recruitment and transition process as a late item. For obvious reasons, it was unable to be added. So Bruce is, Lou's moving, Bruce is seconding. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Fantastic. Confirmation of the order of our meeting. I believe it is unchanged. It is as it appears, with the addition obviously of our late item. And so I have that recommendation there. I'll move from the chair that the order is as it appears. Philip will second. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. So moving then to tab 6, our confirmation of minutes. There's a slight change to the recommendation on this one too, as there has been a correction of minor typographical error required. So the recommendation will read exactly as it appears on page 9, but instead of ending at full stop, it will say a record of that meeting subject to a correction of a minor typographical error. So that is the recommendation there, but we're comfortable with that. Claire, you'll move that for me. Liz will second it. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Great. Next item then is documents signed under council seal, tab 7 of our pack. A one-page wonder.
Thank you, Bishop. Just one warrant there for a senior development engineer.
Very straightforward. I'm happy to move that, and Andrew will second it. I'll put the motion. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Right. Moving on to tab 8 then, financial report for the period ending 30 November 2023. And I believe this is Nada's. Is Nada around? Good morning, Nada. Nice to see you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. I have the financial results for the 30th of November. I'll just take the report as read, but I'll just point out that we don't have the KRI report in there this time, just from a quick turnaround to get this report ready for the meeting this morning. And on the rates on page 26 of the agenda, the rates outstanding of 338,000, and that's 194 properties. And I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Nada.
Sorry, what was that last bit about the rates?
Oh, it's that total from prior years, the 194 properties.
It's on page 27. Okay, thank you for
Through
that.
the chair.
Philip.
Yeah, just a quick question, if I may. Is that up or down? The rates arrears and things like that?
From last month. It's a little bit down, but then when we did the second instalment that was due 21st of November, the outstanding amount for that's a little bit higher than last year, and there was quite a lot of penalty letters that went out, so I think it was one of the highest that the rates team have seen. So I think that's a show of the times at the moment.
Thank you. Any other questions for Nada in terms of her report? Yes.
Nada, how do we compare to other councils? The figures are pretty good, and you know the percentage collected is brilliant. But how do we compare with others?
I'm not sure. Ken might be able to.
Ken might know. Ken.
Yes, through you, your worship. Yeah, look, we're the envy of a lot of councils in terms of our rates collection of arrears. And I guess we're quite fortunate, yeah, really in terms of some of the characteristics of our district as well. I mean, that certainly helps. Yeah, actually, just referring to page 27 on this matter, you can see that our percentage of arrears collected is significantly down on what it was in November 22. So that does concern me a bit. So our very, very good performance historically is not quite so good this time. I mean, a part of that could be a function of the economy. Yeah, there are some quite sticky debts in there. I know we've got an arrears debt of about 30,000. So that effectively makes up close to 10%, obviously, of the 338,000 there. That was actually there was actually a rating sale in place for that. We've now got the person who owns their property talking to us about an arrangement. So there are some quite big and quite sticky ones in there. We are working through those. So look, I'm hoping that will improve over the not too distant future, and that will be much more in line with where we've been in previous years. But look, compared to other councils, their arrears would be hugely higher than ours, both in terms of actual dollar quantum and in terms of percentages, etc.
Thanks for that. Any other questions? Claire.
Just on those arrears, like I'm wondering whether or not the industry or the sector is also a factor, like whether or not there's any commercial or business arrears as compared to just individuals and personal. So I've heard that the number of businesses that are going into receivership and administration, just generally, not necessarily Waipa, but just that's actually a lot higher at the moment.
Yes, so your worship, I really don't have visibility of that. I mean, there's something we could look into, but yeah, look, I'm not sure of the residential, commercial type mix.
Thanks for that, Ken. Any other questions? No? Okay. Philip will move that. I'm happy to second it. I'll put the motion that it be received. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Naomi.
Thank you. See you next year.
Yeah. Have a safe holiday. Right, our next item on our agenda is proposed 2024 schedule of, oh, it hasn't changed. It's January. Oh, that's weird. A proposed schedule of meetings. Jo.
Good morning. This is something we do at this time of year every year, just to adopt the schedule of meetings for the coming year. It does give authority to the CE to amend that schedule if we need to, which has proved quite useful rather than having to come back to the relevant committee and get another resolution to change the schedule. So it works quite well. Has anyone got any questions?
Any questions, observations? Lou is going to move that. And Dale Marie will second it. No conversation. Oh, Gary wants to quickly say something before I.
Yeah, so folks will just notice that we've popped the meeting in there on the 18th of January.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Just on that, just to clarify that, if you're zooming in for that, you are part of the quorum, forming a quorum. Just yeah.
Yes, you will be.
Yeah. So Lou moved it, and Dale Marie seconded it. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, Jo. Audit and Risk Committee meeting, the 4th of December. So, Jenny, where are you?
Good morning, Eve.
Oh, goodness, on the screen. Gosh, you gave me a fright, Jenny. I was looking at the gallery for you. Nice to see you. You look like you're in a very sunny, warm place.
Raglan.
Nice, nice. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Susan. I'll take the report as read, but have the following highlights. A new internal assurance report has been created and will be a standing agenda item going forward, and will also be included in the report to council on each meeting. Some information from the quarterly report is now reported in the quarterly assurance report, which will evolve over time. Your feedback is welcome. As per the request of Councillor St Pierre, we have examined and recommended the split of the risk portfolio, governance, reputation, legislative compliance and control. The risk consequence matrix has been updated to reflect this change. It also includes new definitions and will allow more accurate definition of the risk appetite to apply in decision making. We are happy with these changes, and council's asked to endorse the definitions and the risk appetite, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Jenny. Any questions there, Claire?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Jenny, through the chair. Really happy with the separation out of those, certainly the compliance, risk. Yeah, so pleased to see that change. I also had a question on page 40 of our agenda to do with the quarterly risk management report, and it's to do with the off-track and at-risk actions to do with the economic wellbeing strategy. I just wondered if you've got a date or a timeline for when that's actually going to be progressed.
I know that it has been delayed, but we now have the new our new advisor on board. Joy started 2 weeks ago, I think, and I know that this is a priority for her. I don't know if Kirsty's there. She may be able to respond, or alternatively, Ken, do you know?
Kirsty's here. She's just coming to the seat.
Sorry, through the chair, as Jenny mentioned, we now have somebody in the role of Economic Development Advisor. However, the community feedback that we've received from Ahuaki, and in particular, the feedback through the World Cafe workshops has been incredibly valuable and will inform development of that strategy. So a priority for us is to now work up a project plan for delivery through to the adoption of that strategy, bearing in mind that it is appropriate that we incorporate that feedback from the Ahuaki process. Also linked into the work that is underway in terms of developing up an anchor institution framework. We need to ensure that we are connecting and aligning. So we will update you in the new year with that revised plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kirsty. Look, I couldn't agree more. Like, I'm seeing the Ahuaki meeting pack, I'm reading it at the moment, and I couldn't agree more that the feedback from there is really going to have such a huge relevance to an economic wellbeing strategy. So I guess it just shows, this is one of the early benefits of doing that work, and pleased to hear that it's getting priority. Thanks.
Great. Any other questions for Jenny in terms of her report? Its attachments. Monty.
Not a question, but just to follow on to Councillor St Pierre's comments about the redrafting of the risk matrix. Yeah, it's notable that the risk appetite is different for the legislative compliance and control, which is the point you were getting at. And Bruce, the chair of ARC, we spent a bit of time at his prompting talking about the regulatory function of council. And he pointed out that some other councils have separated that out as well, because we're kind of considering it under legislative compliance and control, right? But it is sort of slightly different. So it's just something we can think about or keep in mind going forward, because, yeah, but we have set the risk appetite in the legislative compliance and control low. So it's just, to me, it's probably all right, because our regulatory function would, I'd suspect, be similarly low appetite. But I just thought it was an interesting point, given he's across a lot of other councils.
Yeah, great observation, Monty. Okay, any other discussion on this paper? No? I'm happy to move that it be received and endorse. You'll see a paragraph B of that recommendation also goes further to endorse the separation of those items, and Roger will second that. I will then put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Fantastic. Thanks very much, Jenny. Next paper is update to council delegations, and this is one of Diana's. Good morning, Diana. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you, Your Worship. Morning, koutou. So my report seeks approval for updates to council delegations. So as you're aware, we need to recruit a new chief executive. Only the council can appoint the chief executive, but there are a number of recruitment processes that need to be undertaken before that point. So this report seeks delegates to the Chief Executive Performance Management Committee and also the Mayor broad powers to undertake that recruitment process up to the appointment.
Yeah, Liz.
Yeah, look, this is a very straightforward item, so I'm happy to move.
Yeah. And Mike will second. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Fantastic. Thanks very much, Diana. The next item is making plan change 17 operative. No, I don't believe so. I was going to actually say good morning, Wendy. Nice to see you. Wendy, I've not met before, but I've been emailing her. So nice to see you in person. Those of you who haven't met Wendy, this is Wendy Robinson, our new manager for District Plan and Growth. The new Tony Putfall. Yeah, the new and improved
exactly.
Tony Putfall. Yeah.
The new Tony.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, Wendy.
Thank you, Mayor Susan. So I'll take the report as read, but just really in brief summary, it's Plan Change 17, which is the Hautapu industrial zone. The decision has kind of gone through the full process. An appeal was raised, but has since been withdrawn. So we have processes in place to advertise it and propose to make it operative on the 19th of January. So any questions?
Wonderful, thank you, Wendy. Roger?
Yes, no questions, but I did raise a question about whether, as one of the councillors was sitting on that submission hearing, that whether we were in fact, because we're predetermined in having made that decision, but we're so pleased to see this coming through. So I anticipate that this will go through without a challenge. I think that this is really important because it's going to unlock that huge potential of Hautapu even further. So great to see it coming through. So I'd like to move in that direction if I'm allowed to and if I may.
Probably best you just vote at the end. I will move from the chair.
Yeah, and I didn't sit on the committee on the hearing at all, so happy to second.
And you'll second, okay. Look, before I put the motion, I also want to say I was at an event, a Christmas event recently, and a gentleman came up to me and said, waxed lyrical about how fabulous our staff were and how he'd been involved in this process. So it's always good to hear really good feedback from the community around things that we're doing. So well done to your team, Wendy. So I have a mover, myself, and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Wonderful stuff. Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, that was pretty good. Well done, well done. So on tab 13 then, we move to the resolution to exclude the public. I have, you'll see appearing there on the first page, a box explaining what the grounds are, and I believe have an additional one now to include in respect of or to the late item 18, which we admitted at the beginning of this meeting, being the CE recruitment and transition process under sections 7.2a and 7.2i. So that's a wee addition there. Bruce will move that for us and Lou will second it. I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye.